Today is December 1. So the next couple weeks, we're gearing up for Christmas. And people that have dysfunctional families sort of dread this time of the year because, there's expectations. Do I go? Do I not go? What do I do with my parents, my siblings? I don't have fun there, So we're going to talk all about that this month. There is one quick answer for every single one of you, but as far as your individual family situations, then that's very separate. However, I'm going to help you cope through it. So, clearly you're dealing with emotional pain and suffering, and that's hard. So, while you're in the muck and while you're feeling the pain, clearly you want to stop doing what's causing you pain. So I want you to think of your emotional pain just like you would physical pain, okay? See, somehow, for some reason, we think we're supposed to tolerate emotional pain, and that's not the truth, okay? Your emotions are a quarter of your whole well-being. Your emotions, your mental thoughts, all right, your physicality, and your spirituality, your soul. So, emotional pain is just as important as physical pain. But I want you to start thinking of it as physical. So, for instance, if I was punching you in the shoulder and that was hurting all the time, what would you do? You would tell me to stop, okay? Stop hurting or doing the stuff that hurts you physically. So you should be doing the same thing that hurts you emotionally. Stop putting yourself in the position where you're going to get emotionally hurt, okay? So that's number one, right? And setting those emotional boundaries. Few people have talked about that, setting the boundaries. All right, absolutely. So you don't have to cut ties with the whole family, only those that are hurting you, okay? Now, sometimes that's a little difficult because we might think, well, if I see everyone else, the person that's hurting me is still there, so that's a different story. If that's the case and you can't get around not seeing everybody in order to avoid pain, then you may have to distance yourself, okay? Now, none of this is easy, right? It's absolutely not easy. But I'm going to tell you what you got to do that's going to make it easier. It will get easier. You know what sets you off, what gets you angry, defensive, hurt. Knowing those triggers is part of the healing process. Because you have to become aware of what's hurting you, who's hurting you, and why they're hurting you. Okay? So messed up. How do I cut only one family member out? Well, again, the way that you do that is that you have to have a conversation with this person. You have to isolate them. I mean, nobody, the rest of the family shouldn't pay for the sins of one. Now, if the rest of the family don't want to see you because you're not seeing Uncle Harry, then that's another story. But if the rest of the family is treating you good, want to see you, but you still have a problem with this person, Uncle Harry, then you're going to have to go and have a conversation with him or her and set the boundaries. Tell them how you expect to be treated, that you don't appreciate being treated this way, and if you can't respect me or my family, my children, whatever the case is for you, then we're done. Then we'll keep our distance. You go there, live your life, and I'll go there and live my life. That's the way you isolate the person. Now, everything I'm talking about requires self-esteem, self-confidence, no anger, self-control. And the only way you're going to do that is by working on yourself, okay? Otherwise, you're just as angry and reactive as that person is. So you're not any better than them until you do the self-work. I'm not kidding about that. That's not an option. The only way to get to the other side is you got to work on yourself. You got to get strong. Again, let's talk about physical. The only way you're going to lift those things or push those things or heal that body is by getting physically stronger, by eating the right foods, working the muscles. So your emotional strength is the exact same way. You have to get stronger, which means you have to heal your sadness, your depression, your anxiety, all right? And you gotta get stronger and more confident. You have to learn how to communicate with love, and all of that requires self-care and self-love. You have to feel good about who you are so that you could speak to Uncle Harry in a loving way, in a respectful way, in a powerful way, and set your boundaries so they know exactly what they're going to get from you. What I see for most people is their heart's in the right place, but they don't want to do the work, and I'm here to tell you, you can't get to the other side without doing the work. You've got to do the work. Again, physical, you want that body, you want to be healthy, you want to live a quality life, you got to exercise, you got to eat well. There's no quick fix. And I know you don't want to hear it, but as your coach, it's my job to lecture you a little bit, to kick you in the butt very gently with respect and love. That complaining about it is not going to help you. It's good to talk about it until release, but then you got to do something about it, okay? So Pamela Robinson Maiden says, I think about this all the time. Like, should I just walk away and block the two that cause me anxiety and stress? It feels like guilt because the rest of my family never believes it's really as bad as it is for me. That's a really good point, Pamela, because everyone's sensitivity level is different. I'm one of 5 girls in my family. For the rest of my 4 sisters, they're fine with the family dysfunction. Or if they're not, they're able to tolerate it. And good for them. But for me, it felt like so painful, dismissive. I felt unloved, and I just couldn't take it. And the reason is that some of us are extremely sensitive emotionally, and that's not a bad thing. That's what makes us care about people and care about things. This is why I do what I do, because I care about you guys, okay? Care about people. So when you're what I call hypersensitive, when you're a sensitive person, all these things are going to bother you. And you're going to hear other family members try to tell you to get over it, or don't worry about it, or can we just move on, or that's been 10 years, what's your problem, or they didn't mean it, or they make excuses for that person's bad behavior. See that all the time. Because why do they do that? Because that gives them an excuse to not have to do what you're doing. So they can sweep it under the rug, pretend they can't see. That way, they don't have to do anything about it. You know why? Because they don't have the courage that you have. It takes guts. It takes courage. It takes confidence to stand up to bullies and to people that hurt you. It's much easier to run and hide. Now, sometimes, if it's a dangerous situation, your best answer is to run and hide, okay? But if we're talking about somebody who's just verbally assaulting you or insulting you, then that's something you're going to have to stand up for. You got to remember, I want to tell you this little tip, pro tip, that I used, especially if you're a parent out there, or even if you're not a parent, if you have a pet, something that you love more than yourself, right? In order to do the self-healing, because the reason you're here is because you're hurting, you're broken, you're anxious, you're nervous. And by the way, fear is losing energy to the past. Anxiety is you're losing energy to the future. The what if, the what if. So going back to my thought, pro tip. I want you, because your self-esteem and self-confidence is low right now, these people know how to push your buttons. They know exactly what your triggers are. And they're coming after you because you're emotionally weak. They deem you, they think of you as emotionally weaker than them. That's why they're coming at you, okay? If you become stronger than them, emotionally, mentally, right, they're gonna go find someone else. So right now they're bullying you, they're going after you, you know, not because of the way you look or the way you act or anything about it. In fact, they may be even jealous of you, but right now they see you as weaker than them, okay? So again, the only way you're going to beat this, okay, is by becoming emotionally stronger and more mature and evolved than that person, okay? They're weak people, because weak people insult and degrade and disrespect other people. If you are strong in your conviction of who you are, love yourself, and feel good about yourself, and you love the good, the bad, the ugly about yourself, you have no reason or desire to break down another human being. You just don't feel like doing it. In fact, you want to help other human beings because you feel the love within yourself so strongly that it makes you sad to see all these other people suffering. So this is why you want to help other people. This is why I do what I do. You know, no one pushes me around anymore. Now, I'm not a bully, but somehow I do intimidate them now because of my emotional strength. And I want to teach you that. But in the meantime, right, I want you to think of yourself this way. Think of the child that you have. Think of the pet that you have. Whatever it is that you love so dearly. You would do anything to protect your children, your pet. You would do anything. In fact, I just lost my little kitty. That was my Reiki healer, my love of my life, my beautiful little cat last week. And it was so difficult. So you know the love that you have for a pet or for a child, right? So you would do anything to protect them. So I want you to start thinking of yourself like your own child, like your own pet, and start treating yourself the same way. Problem is, you treat your child and your pet better than you're treating yourself, right? If you're in an environment, if your child was coming home and telling you that these people were bullying them, what would you say to her or him? You would remove that child from that space. You would put that child behind you and protect them. So why aren't you protecting yourself? Okay? You need to protect yourself. What happens is we worry more about how the bully's going to feel about it. We worry more about hurting their feelings than our own feelings. You know why? Because of your low self-worth. You don't believe you deserve better. So you're more worried about how they're going to feel if you disappoint them or push back than you feel. So you're taking it all on. And this is why you're losing energy to anxiety, depression, and dark thoughts. This is why. Because Your energy needs to be up here to be happy. And when you've got an energy vampire who keeps taking and pushing and pressing your buttons, you keep losing energy. Every time you talk about them, think about them, react towards them, guess what? You feed them energy. And they take your energy. And this is why they're picking on you. Because you're an easy, energetic feed. Okay? Remember what I said to you. Energy is the most important thing in your life. Controls everything about you. Jada Garrett, yes, I did that to my mom. I cut her off for a solid 6 months. Once I accepted her call, she was a completely different person. She became the mom I always wanted to be. It could help. But once you get used to it, everything's easier. So a couple of good points there. Yes, you kept your distance. However, this is what you need to be careful for. You know, the wolf in sheep's clothing. Often, because of the distance, because you took a strong stand, that person is going to become what you want them to be. What do you want me to be? How do you want me to act? Remember, ego is all about, narcissistic ego, it's all about getting their way. They're going to do whatever they have to get you back. So if that means putting on a smile, pretending to be nice. So now, having said that, if your mom did the emotional work on herself and became a kinder, better person, respectful, then absolutely yes. Then you can welcome them back in. But I caution you to be careful that they're not a sheep in wolf's clothing, okay? Or a wolf in sheep's clothing, there we go. You know, because often they'll put on a facade, controlling people will do that, to get you back and lure you back in. Then when your guard is down, the claws come back out. When you have a strong sense of self, not an ego, okay, self-confidence, respectful, love-based, then you don't follow the negative crowd. You walk to the beat of your own drum. So unfortunately, that's how it is in my family. The sisters would have followed me and did the right thing and stood up for themselves, but they never had the courage. So they're always going to follow the bully because they're afraid of being hurt by them too. They're quite happy throwing you to the wolves and being the scapegoat. So that's unfortunate. So a lot of you are talking about walking away. I walk away from my toxic family. It's still painful, but I'm doing great without them. Yes, in the beginning, okay? So you're still, here's how you know, okay? You still got to work on the forgiveness. Forgiveness for yourself, forgiveness to them. And you still have to work on all that emotional stress, drama, memories, pain, trauma that they put you through. You know, the distance is a great first step because that sets the emotional boundary, gets you out of immediate pain, and it stops the bleeding, so to say. But you still have to work on all the memories, the thoughts, the triggers, all of that has to be dealt with. Because even if they die and cross over, or you keep your distance, it's still all in here. So every time you watch a TV show or hear something or a certain smell triggers something, up comes the memory. So you want to be able to clear all the clutter so that when you hear their name, think of them, you don't have anger anymore. In fact, you feel nothing but sorry for them, that they missed out on having you, your beautiful soul and character and persona in their life, okay? So there's still healing work to do. So I wanted to make this very clear, that walking away and setting healthy boundaries is the first step, but it's not the only step. Now you got to work on yourself to clear the clutter. That's what all the anxiety is. That's what all the depression is, the mental unwellness. You got to start working on that, okay? So Aya says, I know I need to do that, but I can't bring myself to. I know that because it takes courage, but I can help you with that. I hope I've addressed each and every one of your concerns and why, it's happening. And yes, distance yourself if you're in immediate harm or emotional pain. But the next step is where I come in to help you. You got to start the healing work because the memories of it, you could have all the distance you want, but you're carrying everything right here and right here. So we got to declutter some stuff, and we got to get you strong again, and we got to get you confident, and we got to get you loving yourself. So I'm going to teach you self-love so that that confidence comes up. You're able to speak your truth with love and respect so that no one is going to push you around anymore. Okay? So I've got a couple things before I sign off. So number one, we're going to do a coping with Christmas series over the next couple weeks because this is the toughest time of the year for people with stressful, toxic family relationship. It's Christmas. I used to dread Christmas because I'm like, oh my God, I have to go there. I'm going to see things, I'm going to hear things. I get it. I completely understand. So I'm going to help you cope with the Christmas crazies. All right? So stay tuned. So the other thing I want you to do is reach out to me. Please, let me help you. I'm here for you, for your purpose. So I've got a couple things that, again, I could offer you. And kudos to those that have taken the next step to download the Emotional Health Assessment. Let's see where your emotions are at. So I'm going to put a link to it. Download it. It's free. What are you waiting for? The other thing, the survival guide. You're going to need this during Christmas. All right? Toxic Parent Survival Guide. It's going to talk about some of the things I talked about today and a few more details of things, coping strategies. So download it. It's free, people. Download it. I'm going to put the link to it. And then finally, I'm going to put a link for you to call me. You and I can talk about your situation, and I could offer some solutions. So it's a free 30-minute call with me. So let's get that booked up. Let's get that going, because I want to help you survive this Christmas, okay? And have great aspirations for the new year. All right, good things are coming. Despite it, there's so much fear out there. We need to take it back. Remember, Christmas and this time, this is about love. This is where we get strong. This is for all you sensitive people out there who have kind hearts, loving hearts. You know who you are. This is your time to shine. So I don't want you to shrink back and get afraid and get angry and get pissed off. No, this is your time to step into your power. Be powerful. Be the loving, beautiful person that God created you to be. All right? Enough of that. You got to change your mind. You got to say, I've had enough, and I deserve better. From my heart to yours, I will see you soon, and let's start talking about coping with Christmas. Download the free stuff. Get on a call with me. Let's get you back to where you belong. God bless. Talk soon. Stay in the light.